board 1 and board 4 are going. So okay,
Oh, do you want
board
to
1. What was?
share any your good news with the chess fans in Missouri?
Oh, yeah. So I just recently got married. That's why I couldn't do the commentary in week 6. So yeah, that's exciting. Very exciting.
Got back from your
Um,
honeymoon?
oh, what'd you say?
You just got back from your honeymoon?
Yeah. We went to Franklin, Tennessee, right outside of Nashville. Pretty
Oh,
calm
okay.
place. Yeah.
Okay, wow. Well, congratulations.
So that's exciting. Yeah. Thank you so much. So,
I had some slightly less important good news. I found my fedora in the closet, so I'm wearing that tonight for good night.
okay.
We're
Alrighty.
watching Humphrey Bogart movies. So.
Yeah, my wife she likes chess. She's nowhere near like grandmaster or anything, but
Oh, cool. So chess
me,
family.
yeah. So maybe we'll have some little grandmasters one day. Who knows?
Yeah.
That'd be exciting. But all right, now for board 1 commentary. Okay. So, in this position, he's trying to play d5. I like this plan. Now, we can't play d5 right away because e5 will be hanging. Maybe he'll play like rook from f to e8 followed by bishop f8. These are plans that are commonly seen in the Roy Lopez as black. So this is an idea.
Where does he play the rook?
Rook from f to e8. And then the rook looks silly blocked by the bishop. So he's going to play bishop from e8 or from e7 to f8.
Okay.
And then that way his rook will be able to see the e pawn and will also see the queen down there. And then we ask, okay, well, what about the bishop on f8? What's he doing? You'll see this maneuver commonly in Roy Lopez structures as well. Like this is the Breyer defense, right? They'll play pawn g6 and then they'll play bishop from f8 to g7. And now we're slowly fixing our pieces. The bishop is helping look at the e5 pawn and prevent d4 and so many other good things. I can expect rook from f to e8 followed by bishop f8. Or he may try for another plan. He may try to play pawn f5, which is also good. But this would be very uncharacteristic because he just played rook from a to d8. If he was going to play pawn f5, maybe he would have played like rook from a to e8. So let's see. What will he play? Will he play for this d5 plan with rook e8, bishop f8, and maneuvers? Or what does he go for? Maybe he goes from some queen or for some kingside ideas like queen g4, queen h5, like knight g4, trying to get our pieces in here. This could be something too. So let's see. This looks interesting. Taking a while to think here. So let's look at board 3 now.
Okay.
Okay. Board 3. Let's see. What was this opening? This opening f4. Oh yeah, Nathaniel plays these f4 openings, and a lot of people call these dubious. But I mean, if you can play any opening as long as you know it well, he's won a pawn. Okay. And wait, is this game over already? Knight d7? What? Knight d7? The two rooks. What am I missing, Adam? Knight d7?
I don't know. It looks good to me, but I don't know.
Huh. Nathan's probably like, wait a minute.
Is there a
We're
trap?
going against the toughest team. We're going against this. We're going against the toughest team, and 97 is on the board right now. He's probably super nervous, double checking it, triple checking it.
I think their nerves got to him, and they
97. Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think. Is there anything? What could he possibly do? 97. The knight on f3 is being hit by the queen and the bishop by X-ray. So maybe he'll play like knight from c6 to go somewhere. The knight can't take the pawn because we'll take that knight with our knight on f3. Knight anywhere else, we can just move our knight from f3 to e1 and just the rooks are still in trouble. So knight d7 is winning. Will Nathan see knight d7? Oh, wait. Are there some tactical tricks in here? Knight d7, knight d5? Oh, no, we can do rook takes knight d5. No, I don't see anything. Knight d7 looks strong. Unless I'm missing, I keep feeling like I'm missing something. I think Nathan's probably thinking he's missing something too. You know, if this was like a chess.com puzzle, I'd play this in 2 seconds. But
yeah,
if it's a game representing the state, you know, I think about it for 3 minutes.
Puzzle Rush stuff.
So, yeah, Puzzle Rush, I'm playing knight d7 in a blink of an eye. But in these tough games, you know, you double check, triple check, and you're still not sure.
I watched Nakamura play the Puzzle Rush.
So come on, Nathan, knight d7. Yeah, Nakamura is a monster.
He was solving the puzzle before I could figure out where the kings were on the board.
Yeah, he's crazy. He plays absolutely insane. So come on, Nathan, knight d7, knight d7. What else is there? I mean, like, if you don't play knight d7, what move could you play and then still say I'm a good player, you know? It's got to be better than knight d7. Okay, maybe I could see bishop takes c5. But, I'll give that. Yeah, that's a very far away second place. Okay, Nathan's panicking here. 97.
Yeah, I'm used to playing kids at the kids club, so I would just move there without thinking about anything else. But this guy's like a 22, 42.
Yeah, he's probably like, what does he have up his sleeve? Knight d7, knight d4? But then we just pawn takes. They do bishop takes our knight, but then we take their rook, and we're fine. The tactics look good. Will Nathan play knight d7? We'll give him till 8 minutes. If he doesn't play it after, or until 8 minutes, we're going to look at somebody else's game. Knight d7, come on, let's go.
I'm kind of curious to find out if it was a mistake or some trick.
Bishop c5. We're definitely going to have to run that one by an engine and see what was wrong with knight d7. Interesting. But at least bishop c5 is one of the good moves that we talked about. That if we didn't play knight d7, we've got to at least do something. Interesting. Okay, well, let's take a look at Asish's game.
If he immediately moves a rook,
what did you say?
If he immediately moves a rook, do you think it was a mistake?
Like knight to d7, and he plays like rook from b to d8, something like that.
Yeah, like if he just noticed it and he's trying to save one of his rooks. I wonder.
Oh yeah, because his last move he played it so quick, you know.
Yeah. I think last time you did the commentary, somebody pre-moved and it was a disaster for them, but it helped us. I wonder if it's something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll definitely have to take a look at that. I am not sure that was a good move, but okay.
Well, he left it there. Now
Now we're looking at Asish's game.
the queen can't even defend now. So I don't know. Asish. Okay.
Asish's game. What did he play? E4. His opponent played B6. So I call things like this the I lose defense. You just have to get your pieces out. I mean, this is all right, but when you're trying to show this to a young player, just tell them no fear, just get your pieces out, hit them in the center. And Asish is playing just textbook here. He's getting his pawns up, taking a lot of space. Wait, did he blunder? I think he trapped his own. Oh no! As soon as I said he's playing textbook, he blundered a bishop here. So he's a piece down. Okay, so let's see. What can we do? So big mistake by Asish here. His position looked great until then. There's not much. The pawn on d5, maybe he could play something like rook b5. But still, they just play like a6, kick us out. We don't really have anything.
I was trying to figure out what happened.
So the opponent just completely slipped. We've got our first win on the board.
Oh, wow. Great.
Yeah, he caught him on an x-ray. He didn't move, and pawn e5, he said, give me the bishop. And the opponent decides he had enough, and that was game over. He resigned on the spot.
Wow. All right.
So that's a point on board one. Super solid.
Wonder if nerves are getting to him. Was it a blunder
it's
or
gotta
something,
be.
or just got outplayed?
Yeah, he it's like if this was like a game in 60, there's 100% chance he sees this tactic. But he's got low time. He's got about half the time of his opponent. Once again, they know this is the playoff round. Yeah. Whoever wins this is going to the playoffs. So talk about nerves. These guys are feeling the pressure, and all of it compiles to be too much. Tactics and all that pressure in 6 minutes, So the opponent just blunders here. So let's look at board two. Board two, and he's done the same plan that we talked about. He played rook e8. He played bishop f8. He played his g6. He played bishop g7. Same ideas. Because of what the opponent did, he couldn't play d5. But we can expect him to play something like pawn f5 here, trying to stretch out, get some more space. f5, g5, f4, just getting pieces out. The pressure on b7 we really don't care about too much at all. We can just play pawn b6 and say, okay, fine. But we're really looking to stretch on the king side. f5, g5 for sure. So will Kenneth play f5 here? Maybe g5 first to get a tempo? b6 first. Interesting. Okay, well, at least that move was on our radar. He was just fixing all his weaknesses first before he goes in. Only thing I didn't like about this, though, is that maybe there's some kind of way, let's say, I was going to say f4 to slow down g5, but f4 is actually really bad because of the rook on e8. It has an x-ray to the queen. The pawn will just take, and then there's lots of tactics there. But the opponent doubles on the b file. He's trying to play a5 and put his rook on b7. Interesting. Okay, so now it's time to go. We got to play g5. Hit his knight with tempo. Very important. g5 is better than f5 because it comes with tempo. So let's say pawn g5, knight f3, pawn f5. Then how could we keep going there? We could play like knight g6 and then start looking at x-rays. That's definitely the idea. Will he play pawn g5 and pawn f5 here in this position? Or will he be worried about his b6 pawn? He might play like knight c8 here. That's also a very reasonable move. It protects b6 forever, since his light square bishop won't be able to remove that knight off of c8. So good moves here are g5 and knight c8. Will he play one of those two moves? G5. There we go. Okay. Knight F3 is much better than Knight G2.
And then
I
trade
mean, he
knights.
might play.
Oh,
Okay. Oh, okay. I missed this. I missed that it blocked the X-ray. So knight takes pawn is, of course, much better than knight C8. It guards B6 and it has lots of tactical opportunities. So we're winning on board two as well. These guys came to play today.
yeah.
That's what I like to see.
We've got a
Okay.
three-match win streak also, so they're just rolling.
Yeah, this is excellent. And there's pressure everywhere. The X-ray is now open. Be on the lookout for a random pawn E4 out of nowhere in all the open tactical lines. Right? We have bishop on G7 looking at C3. The rook wants to look at the queen. So much here. So what can white even do? We got to move the queen off that line. That's starting to look really scary. Maybe like queen D1. Queen D1? But we can't really play queen D1. You know, that's not a championship move. That's just trying to survive. This is really tough. Maybe we play pawn C4, kick the knight. Oh, no, our rook's hanging. Oh, boy. So we definitely don't have time. We move the rook. Then he plays like pawn F5 or pawn E4. And we're in trouble here as white. Well, I mean, we're the black pieces, but white's in big trouble. Okay, let's take a look at board 3. Wow, and board 3's over. What did we miss? He got his queen trapped.
Wow.
Nathaniel wins. Oh.
Like the 1964 Cardinals or something.
This guy like super blundered. Yeah, he played B8 like pre-move, you know. And then Nathaniel's like, I don't know about knight D7. Maybe he's got something nasty cooked up for me. He just plays bishop takes C5, completely reasonable. And then the opponent just goes on to trap his queen. Wow. Okay, so board 1 and board 3 are finished. How's Asish doing? Is he hanging in? Let's see. He's making it really difficult for his opponent. I will say that. Here, does he have a winning plan, though? If he can escape with the draw somehow, that's really all we need. But how can he do it, though? I don't really see anything. We don't have any play.
No, Stevens is 2358.
Yeah, that's quite the difference there. That's like 300 points off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I liked his position, though, before he blundered his bishop. He trapped it. But he had a really good position there. But after the blunder, now it's almost useless. But, I mean, he's still trying, so really good job to him for that. Let's look at board 2. Board 2 here. Very interesting. Let's see. The material... We're up the exchange. That's important. Okay, our pawn on h6 is hanging. What do we play? We play like pawn, or we play queen e6, queen g6 then, and say trade with me right now so I can win the game in the end game, you know? I like queen e6 here. Very good. Okay, queen e6. What does white play? They're trying to hit h6 another time, but they don't have anybody to do it. Can they swing their rook? What if they play rook b4, rook h4? Now that's a gem maneuver right there. Oh, there they go. There they go. Okay. So we've got to play queen g6. Say trade with me right now because I'm scared, right? No more attacks for you. Queen g6, or maybe I was going to say pawn e4 to cut off the rook, but that allows the knight to come in on f4, and then we're allowing too much counterplay. So I like queen g6. Queen g6 holds the position really well. Well, can I see queen g6? Boom! There we go. These guys are playing well. Okay, so now danger. The rook's trying to land on g4. We've got to play something like pawn f5 here to stop that. Or can we play pawn h5? Pawn h5. No, that makes a target on h5. Yeah, there we go. Pawn f5. Pawn f5. Does the opponent have anything? Bishop check. That's nothing. They're trying though. They could play like they're trying. They're building pressure. How can we stop this? We're fine for right now. We could play something like, this is pretty tough. What if we play f4? f4, the pawn's pinned. That also gives us time to play like bishop f6 and hit that rook. But f4 also gives them back the g4 square. I don't like it. But f4 also opened up our queen to say check on b1. I don't know how much that would have done, but okay. Knight's trying to go back to f6. Okay. Our pawn is pinned, though. Can our opponent now play knight g5? Trying to play knight f7. Knight g5. Ooh, that looks like a strong move. Knight g5. Oh, there he found it. No way. Okay. What do we play here? Knight f7 is a huge threat. Our king can't go anywhere. Tough game. Okay, he finds the only solution. Rook e7. I was considering rook f8, but would have blundered to knight e6, attacking the rook on f8 and the rook on d8. So rook e7, excellent move by Kenneth here. The opponent's just looking for anything. But he doesn't have enough pieces. We're defending so well. Knight's coming to f6. Okay. So he's hitting f7 again. Do we play rook f8 here to guard f7? Rook f8. I like rook f8. What else is there? Our king can't move. There's nobody else that can guard it. We have no pressure. All right, let's go, Kenneth. Rook f8. Rook f8. f4. But knight f7, right? Knight f7. Rook takes. Bishop takes. Queen f6. We had to play rook f8 there. Now, will the opponent play knight f7? He's thinking for a long time. This is like an auto move. You got to play knight f7. What else can he play? Knight e6? Wow, the opponent is panicking here. So now if we do e5 takes f4, then now the knight is stuck. The knight's pinned. Right? So now f7 is completely out of the question. Yeah, this is now looking like GG's here.
Oh, one can't take.
Right? Yeah, we play. What can we play here? Knight e5. We play rook f8. I mean, we can send everybody in now. Oh, he panicked. Okay, so hopefully Kenneth doesn't panic here. We got to play a fighting move. Knight e5. We got to attack something. We got to get him off of us. We got to seize the initiative again. Because he stopped attacking us for a quick moment, so we can fight. Knight e5, rook f8. Got to play something here.
Can he play the rook to e4 or no? No, the knight.
Rook
Oh, the
E.
knight's
Oh
pinned.
yeah, the bishop will take us
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
because the knight's pinned. Well, I'm liking the fighting spirit. That's the type of move we're looking for.
Yeah.
Maybe knight c5, rook e4. Well, no, that's still losing the exchange. Oh, he's panicking too. What is he worried about? Everything's pinned. He's fine, right? Knight e5, knight f6, but that doesn't attack anything. It attacks the bishop. This is going to be a tough game. We're definitely going to stay on this one. Okay, so if I'm the opponent here, I'm getting off this x-ray. I'm playing king h1. Bishop f7. Bishop f7. Now, we can actually just completely ignore this. Can we play queen b1 check? Queen b1 check, king h or king g2, and then something like rook e1 and just, yep, okay, rook e1. Oh, d5. But that's a good move too, honestly. Now all of his pieces are hanging. He's on an x-ray. Look at this. Where's the win? Everything's hanging. Okay. The knight's in trouble. The bishop on f7's in trouble. The queen is being hit. Ooh, what do we do here? It's looking scary. This is looking real scary. Rook takes bishop? No, then knight takes. Ooh, is it rook f8? Okay, there it is. Rook f8. There's no checks. Well, I mean, there's one, but who cares about that one? Ooh, it's a scary game. Knight, oh, they don't have any moves. Knight e6 doesn't work. We just do rook takes bishop. The queen can come all the way back from b1 to h7 just in case of any crazy tactics. Okay, what do we play here? We need a quick move. How about queen c2 is just something quick. I don't know. Just tell your opponent to come up with the moves. Okay, check. And take the, okay, rook takes knight. Wait, okay, we had queen f1 check there too. We're going to win on this board as well. I expect resignation.
Yeah, it's down to 3 seconds.
Queen f1. Yeah, queen f1 here, check. Okay, and then queen g2. Perfect. We're looking at queen g4 for checkmate threats. Does he see it? Oh, he found it. What can we do? We can take on h2 here. Rook block and queen f4.
All right.
Yeah, he just resigns. Wow.
Wow.
Adam, that's 3 points in round 1.
Yeah.
Let's check back up on Asish. Did he get a miracle draw somehow?
He's still in there.
He's still in there. He is.
Down a bishop, I guess.
So he's got these pawns. Now, these pawns aren't going to make it, but they're annoying. They're just enough to keep the king out of the position, you know? So maybe he just might be able to steal a game. Because we would love to take the pawn on h6, but the problem is the pawn on f3 is running. So, ooh, and we're in zugzwang right now. Our king is stuck. Okay, so this will give him time to play g5. Yep, okay, and then g4. This game is too... Oh, wait, no. We have bishop g5 now. Check. Okay, wait. Ooh, this game suddenly... But we can't move our pawn because the bishop on d4 on e4 is so good. Nah, this game's too far gone. That's unfortunate. Gotta hand it to Asish, though. At least made his opponent nervous. It wasn't a free win. So let's see. His opponent just takes and he's going to promote next turn. Yeah. Tough. Tough. But overall, I mean, Asish did a really good job. He's playing against somebody who's 300 points higher. So we got three points in round one, Adam.
Yeah, that's awesome.
3-1.
We're holding on to that
Okay.
tiebreaker.
The statement win of the match so far is Nathaniel winning this round. Their board 2 player is 22-42. So that's a nice upset there. But I mean, based on how our board 3 and board 4 have been playing, it's hard to even call that an upset, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe he's just underrated. That would be my guess. But for our board 3 and board 4 players, the matchups will just get easier and easier as it goes. So that's definitely why a win from Nathaniel so early in the match is very important to see. A very good sign for our team. We've got these 2 Fianchetto bishops. So what to say about this? When the pawns are not locked, like when the pawns can still advance in positions like this, you should always be considering, when can I move my pawn forward? Not just to move the pawn forward, of course, right? We want to take space and open up our attack lines, right? So one day, eventually, we'd like to move the pawn off e4 to e5. It would open up our bishop on some good lines here. It would also try to push our opponent back. So something like maybe f4 in the future to help take more space and play e5 one day could be nice. But f4 right now doesn't look good because the king would be open. There'd be lines from the a7 to g2 diagonal that we'd be worried about. So, okay, what is the opponent trying to do here with b5? b5, he wants to play b4. He's trying to hit our c2 pawn. b4 would be really important because it would kick our knight away, and then he'd have an open line to c2. But he still needs a lot more attackers than just that, right? All we really need is just our one knight, because he wouldn't take our pawn if it was protected by our knight on d4. Let's say, what is he going to do? Ooh, did we make a mistake here? If knight takes, he has e5 to kick our knight. Then we have knight f5, bishop takes, pawn takes. We just blundered this one. What, you have queen takes? Queen takes c2. Do we have rook e1 or rook c1? Is that a queen trap? Queen takes c2, rook c1. Yeah, that looks good. So he's got to play e5 here. That way, after queen takes c2, if the queen's not on d4, the bishop on b2 will be hanging. So if black plays e5, then he's going to be able to win a pawn off of us here. Will he see it? Pawn e5. If he doesn't find pawn e5, we're doing all right. Nope, he finds it. So we're in trouble here on board 1. Let's see, what move do we play here? We know we're going to lose a pawn. We've got to find a fighting move. Queen e3, okay. After queen takes, he's probably looking at rook d2 and start to double up on the d file. Play like bishop a3, moves like this, and he's trying to hit the d6 pawn. This is a nice idea. I like this. This is the type of plan that can catch us back up in the game. So, okay, tough game on board 1. Let's see. Board 2 has started. All right. What was this game? e4, e5. We have a... what was this called? Is this the Schliemann? Is that what this is called? I believe so. e4, e5, Roy Lopez with f5. So we have this. And he plays knight c3. Okay. And we slowly get to this position here where black looks very suspicious, as is normal in the Schliemann. But, okay, what does he do? Does he castle here? He does castle. Now, I like us queenside castling. Short side castling. There's a open rook line. He's gonna play like bishop g4. I don't like short castle. Now, I mean, it looks good, but it's hard to play that type of game, especially with low time. What does he do? E6. What about rook e8 though? Rook e8, knight d4, but then he has pawn c5. Maybe he's just giving up the pawn anyway. Yeah, he's not trying to keep the pawn. He just wants to give it up and close down some of the attack lines. Yeah, okay, so now bishop takes. Or rook takes. I'd say bishop takes. The x-ray threat's pretty strong. Okay. And then where do we put this queen here? We've got a target on c6. We could play queen a6 here with tempo. But maybe he just doesn't care. He could play like bishop g4. But then we have knight d4, and we're doing all right there. Very interesting game. Queen, if we don't go to a6, where else do we go? Okay. So bishop g4 here looks good. Bishop g4 hitting the queen and pinning the knight. And then queen d3. I mean, he's getting out of it. Let's see, what's the material count? 6 pawns. 1, 2, 3, 6 pawns, but they've got scattered pawns, broken pawn chain, everything. Looks like a tornado hit Black's pawn structure, Adam? So
yeah, Ken's pawns are.
I mean, yeah, he's just. If I'm him here, if I'm Kenneth here, the chance of checkmating in this middle game is next to 0, since those bishops are covering so much. We don't really have any pawns to take space and to restrict our opponent. So if I'm Kenneth here, I just want to get my pieces active. I want to trade pieces, and I want to play something like rook c1. And play c4 to open up the c file on those weak pawns back there on c6 and c7. Now, I know I can't play c4 right now because of the bishop, but somehow, someday, I want to play c4 and put my rooks on the c file. Now, for the black pieces, they, of course, do not want the c file to open. That will be very bad. They should be playing moves like c5 and d4 to use those pawns that they have to restrict us and take space and open up their attack lines. Maybe something like pawn f5 could be good as well, but I don't like pawn f5 right now because that would give us the e5 square for our knight. So from black here, I could expect something like c5 or queen d7 or rook b8, just something that would just develop a piece. In the meantime, we took a look back at board 1 here. He's starting the plan that we mentioned. He's put his pieces on squares that will attack the d6 pawn. I really like this. Okay, he doubled up like we talked about. He's going to put his rook on from e1 to d1, and then he's going to put some pressure on d6. Now, we do know that we're down a pawn here, but practically that pawn is not moving since it's a backwards pawn, so it's on our opponent now to use their time to find a winning plan where all we have to do is kind of just sit back and do nothing and then just see if he makes a tactical slip. So this game is still not lost. I still have hope in this game. Knight g4. That's a good move. Knight g4, maybe he's looking at playing f5 to open up all his attack lines on the f file. Knight g5, maybe queen. He can't play queen anywhere right now. He wants to play like queen b6 or queen a7 to hit f2. That's what it's all about. Okay, maybe he plays queen b. Oh, wait, but now the pawn on d6 is being attacked 3 times. Are we winning this pawn back? What can he do? He can play queen b6 to hit f2, and we'll have to slow down for a second because f2 is more important than d6. Can he play queen b6 and then rook c6?
What can you
that looks like the plan there. I'm thinking he's going to play queen b6 here to attack f2. We don't want to trade
Oh,
king side pawn for just a random pawn somewhere else because king safety is more important always. But he doesn't do any of that. Bishop there. Why don't we just play rook d1? Rook d1, and he's moving defenders away from d6. Slowly, I'm starting not to want to draw anymore. You know, if black offered me a draw 3 moves ago, I'd be like, are you kidding me? Sure, you know, I'll accept. I'm down a pawn. You're going to find a way to break in somehow, get me out of this game, you know? But if they offered me a draw now, I don't know. You know, the pawn on d6, I'm going to put a bishop on there. It's going to hit so much. And then after d6 falls, e5 is looking suspicious. The knight is over here, but that's not enough. The bishop on g5 is attacking ghost, you know? So I'm going to pick white for favor here. Go out on a limb here. I like white in this position. Maybe he plays pawn b4. Pawn b4, but then we have the nice tactic queen takes d6. But then queen takes, rook takes, and he has bishop b5 attacking our knight. This is quite messy. Ooh, he finds b4. Do we take on d6? No, it didn't work because bishop b5. Okay. So now I'm thinking I want to play like h3, get this knight off of me. H3, like king h1, pawn f4. You know, I need to stretch. I need to get some attack lines. I can't sit back and do nothing forever. So what will black play here? They've got to guard their d6 pawn, maybe bishop e7, rook c6. I like bishop e7. But there's so much pressure here, honestly, right? The bishop on d7 is back there with no defenders, which means that the pawn on d6 is pinned, right? So, okay, so he just gives up. No, he doesn't give it up here. Everything's hanging. What? Oh no. What if he plays rook c2, threatening bishop takes e2? But then we just take on g4 and g5, right? Queen takes knight, bishop takes knight, takes. No, then we're down the exchange. What do we play? Rook from f to e2 to e1. Rook from f to e1. Rook takes bishop. Queen takes knight. Oh, he played the wrong one, I think. Bishop takes knight here. We had to play rook from f to e1 in that turn. Okay, we take on g5. Queen takes bishop. And then... Nope, our rook can't even take the bishop back because queen takes f2 is going to be mate in 2. Queen takes f2, king h1, queen takes bishop. Ooh, tough. The only move we have here is bishop c1. Bishop c1, protected by the queen on g5. We can hope to play bishop e3. Tough game. Okay, let's take a look back at board 2. They've gone a little bit as we expected. They played queen d7 and c5 like we were thinking about. I'd like to see Kenneth here play moves like h3 or like rook takes rook and then rook e1. Just trade pieces, you know? I want to get to the end game where I'm going to have a better structure. But slowly, if these pieces wake up and we stay in the middle game for too long, then black is going to have a lot of space by advancing their pawns, and they're going to eventually maneuver their bishops around, something like bishop f8, bishop d6, and they can start to put their pieces on good diagonals. I'd like to see Kenneth start to try to trade pieces off. We don't want to stay in this position for too long. Tough position, though. He's probably worried about moves like bishop f5 and things like rook b8. Okay, so h3, that's what I want to see. Let's trade. Trade. The opponent will most likely play bishop f5. In response, we're going to play... what would we play in response there? Something like queen c3? Hit the c5 pawn? We're not afraid of the x-ray because the pawn on f6 can't move? But it's still scary. Very scary position here. Let's look at board 3. Board 3, equal position, but still very messy. I'd have to give the edge to white right now. They've got a lot of more development than we do. We only have one piece out. What happened here? This was, okay, Dutch defense. Okay. So how do we try and save this? Easy answer is we got to develop. The good thing is our opponent played a no threat move last turn. They have, if we just skip our turn, they can't do anything. So let's get some pieces out. How about bishop f6? I like bishop f6. Bishop f6. I want to play d6 so that my knight can get out. My knight on b8 is stuck protecting d7. Oh, there we go. Bishop f6. Get this knight out the way, and then I can play 6 and rook e8. You know, I can fight back in this game. What does white play here? Maybe bishop a3, but then we just play pawn d6. Yeah, no fear here. White's still slightly better because they have much more development, but I can see a clear path to saving this game for black. Bishop f6, and then let's say he plays like rook e8 to hit that knight again. I don't want to play d6 yet. d6 would be not very good, right? Oh, wait, no. d6 is okay because that knight on d4 is pinned to the bishop back on b2. So if we play d6, I was afraid of knight c6, allowing that knight to come in. But after d6, knight from e to c6, we can just do knight takes knight, and then the knight on d4 is pinned. So I like Nathaniel's position here. d6 coming up, and black's looking good. No fear. Okay, let's take a look at Asish's game. So current position not looking good. This one is lost for Asish, but what was this at least? Queen's Gambit declined. Okay. How do we end up down a rook though? Oh, okay. I see. We had to go down the exchange, and then we just got. Yeah, there was a nice tactic that the opponent found. Okay, so messy game. Is there any chance for saving the game? No. The opponent just does queen d7 and pawn e7. It looks, yeah, that this game's too far gone. Let's take a look at. Okay, so board 3, the opponent played bishop a3 like we talked about, but this move we weren't afraid of because we just play pawn d6. Oh, I see. So this was not bad by the opponent. Bishop a3 steps off the pin. Right now there's no pin. The knight on d4 is not going to be pinned to the bishop on b2. So if we play d6, the knight can actually happily sit on c6. Knight from e5 to c6. Because after knight takes knight and knight takes knight, there's no tactic on b2 anymore. Interesting. Okay, so what do we play here? Not a bad move by our opponent. Do we allow their knight to come in? My positional instinct says no way. Why do I even consider this? But at the same time, a knight on c6, like let's say we play d6, knight from e5 to c6, and then knight takes knight, and then knight on d4 takes our knight. That knight on c6 looks really, really good. But what is it actually doing? You know, it's where can it go? The checks we don't care about. We're going to play like a6, so it's not attacking anything. Nathaniel's probably double checking this to make sure, but d6 gets rid of that bishop's line. It also gets that knight out of here. We want to trade pieces. That because for us, if we could on this turn offer our opponent and say, I would like to trade my knight on b8 for your knight on e5, he would be like, what kind of offer is that? No deal, right? But if we play d6, he's going to run over there himself and we're going to say thank you. And then we got to not only develop a piece, but we got to take away one of our opponent's active pieces, which is a double win for us there. So in positions like this, we want to develop, but we would also like to push our opponent back. And there it is, d6. Well done here for Nathaniel, playing strong, honestly. This guy is definitely underrated. So will our opponent play knight c6? That's the only move, really. Knight to f3. Nah, no way. He wouldn't play knight f3. Maybe though. I mean, no. I'd expect knight c6 and trade the knights. In the meantime, let's take a look back at board 1. Board 1 was down the exchange, but what happened here? Are we winning? Whoa. Now there's queen h7, king f8, king h or queen h8, king e7, queen takes g7. This looks winning. How can he stop this? Whoa. Was he playing too fast and blundered? Or he just got outmaneuvered? Let's see. I'm going to go back and check this. So, let's see. He weakened his king side and then just acted like there was no threats, and he was able to. Ooh, that was nice. So what Roman did here, Chinrip, he gave up the exchange again. So he was already down the exchange, but he did another exchange sack, and he did rook takes bishop back here in the game. And now he has a bishop pair, and he was able to wiggle his way through on the king side, because for rooks, it's hard to jump through those pawns. For bishops, they just kind of diagonally move away through here. And now white is has a commanding lead. I don't know how to save this. This game looks gone. Okay, so what did he play? Okay. So I missed a lot of moves in there. So he gave back the exchange sack. He took a lot of pawns here.
It looks like
okay.
Asish lost his game, so we've got 3.
Yeah, tough game.
Yeah.
Okay. All eyes on board 1, though, for sure. I like that move. Okay, hitting the rook. If they play a move like rook c7, then we've got queen f8. Oops, almost checkmate in there. There's quick blunders. Okay, can we play queen f8 now? King c7. Okay. I really want to take that d5 pawn, but after queen takes, that's a check. It's a tough game. So this was a very good move by the opponent to give back the exchange sack like 10 moves ago. Otherwise, this game was over for sure. Is there any move? The checks don't look good. The king will just run to c7 and then to b6, and then we have no checks left. So, like, let's say we play queen f8, king c7. We play queen e7.
Oh,
okay.
I thought he would play the.
All right.
I thought he'd play the queen to e8. He doesn't want to trade queens.
Looks like he's just going for the pawn here. Okay. So that's something. Trading queens. That's a good question there, Adam. We've got the passed h-pawn. But we don't control the promotion square. That's a big problem. our light square bishop can't get somebody off of h8. And black also was going to be able to make their own pass pawn with the A and B pawn. So bishop versus rook in that endgame, I'd pick the rook because they can make the pass pawns on their own. But if they couldn't make that pass pawn, I would pick white because our bishop could hold our pawns on b3 and d4, and we could find ways to push our pawns on the king side. Now, here, he definitely does not want a queen trade because of what we just said. So he moves away. And the win for us here, he's got to throw that h pawn as fast as he can. Just h4, h5, h6. That's our only chance. For black, oh, there we go. We've got an exciting game for us here. Check h5. No, we shouldn't play h5 yet. Our pawn's still in trouble. Tough game. Did we do queen g7 check? Queen g7, king a8. Do we do pawn g4 here? Pawn g4, pawn f3, king f2, queen h2 check does not look good. Tough game. Pawn h5. Okay, pawn takes. We don't have much. Ooh. Okay. Wow. So Roman's good. We can say that much. This guy's is in a fight for his life trying to beat Roman here. h6. h6, queen c2, king h3. I'm trying to dodge all the checks here. Bishop g4. And did we just blunder the pawn? No, because there's bishop f3, which would skewer the pieces, or pin them actually here. Okay. Will the opponent play queen c3? Forcing a trade. No, they don't want to trade. Okay, we've got to play bishop f3 here, threatening queen g8, and then checks forever. Bishop f3 also stops rook h1, scary move. Let's see, bishop f3, but then there's queen c3. How can we stop king h1 besides bishop f3? Can we play king h4? Oh, there you go. Rook check, king g4. Okay. Now the opponent's looking at queen f4 check. What do we do? Do we play queen d6? Queen d6, and all there is just rook h1 check? I like queen d6, threatening checks forever, and also stopping... Oh, wait, no, it doesn't stop queen f4. It's protected by the rook. At this point, I like the bishop because our pawn on h5 is moving very quick. Queen d6 looks like the move here. Well, you see queen d6. Look at Roman. This guy is a beast. Okay. Queen e1, maybe king g5. Okay, king g5. King g6. Rook g8. But there's checks forever coming up. Did he do it? Let's see. Where can he go? King h6. King h6. Leave me alone. Maybe king g5. Bishop block lets the rook come in. We don't like that. King g5. Yeah, okay. And, ooh. Okay, so we've at least got a draw here. Their opponent's now scared. Can we push for the win? He does. Queen e7. He's got queen f6. But then he goes back to e3. So queen e7, can we play king g6? Trying trying to stop all these checks here. Ooh, the opponent's running out of time. They're panicking. They're like, how did I lose this? I had 2 rooks. He had 2 bishops. Okay. All right. So we're worried about the passed pawn on their side, but how do we push our pawn? Got to play king g5 here, h6, and then walk the pawn with our king while the bishop will sit on d7 and cover the a4 square. The bishop will help the pawns on the queen side while the king walks up with the h pawn. We can do this. This will be a win. King g6. Well, actually, no. Pawn h7, right. He can't go to h1 because we have bishop h5. This is a win. Can you believe it, Adam? Out of the fire again. King g6, king g7. Wow. So I know he sees this one. He saw all those other moves. He's got to see king g6. Okay. Being fancy. He didn't have to do that. King, wait, where is he going? Why didn't he just go king g6, king g7? This still wins, but Okay, and this is definitely winning now. Even if by some chance we end up with the edge pawn on the A file, or the bishop is the correct color, right? We have a light colored bishop. So this is a completely winning endgame. Wow.
Wow.
And the opponent resigns.
So the D pawn was the queen, right?
Yeah, the D pawn is queening for sure. The question was, what about like some A or B pawn? Like, let's say they play A4, we just take it and then we play bishop B1. So, I mean, they can't come down there and queen, and then we queen. What a game. Now, I'm hearing a lot of moves go off, so I can't really comment about this game for too much because board 2, Kenneth has 10 seconds. The opponent has 40 seconds. There's a serious threat on board right now. There's bishop takes f6, threatening mate. The opponent is threatening the queen. What is this game? Let's see, what can we play? Ooh, I don't know. Tough game. Queen e7?
Time.
No, he runs out of time. Unfortunate. So this game did look lost. There's not much he could have done. Maybe queen e7, but now he just promotes with pawn d1. Tough game. So we need for Nathaniel to win this game for us to escape this round even. But Nathaniel lost. Oof. So now this was a 1-3 round. So we're back to being equal. Yeah. Very interesting. Let's look at board 4.
Okay.
Everybody else's boards are not going. So we're going to lose the D pawn for sure. And after that, I'm trying to look for how can we fight. Tough position. Because the opponent has a lot of space after the pawn's gone. You've got to play moves like, oof, now he's attacking our knight. Now we can't castle because that castling over there is scary. The rooks for the opponent are coming to e1 and d1. Scary game. What can we do, though? Can we play e5? If we play e5, it protects the pawn, but our pawn on e5 is pinned to our king, so they can actually just straight up take the pawn on d4. So pawn e5 does not save the day. Okay, what can we do? Plus our light square bishop has to do something. Can we play b6, bishop b7? If they take our knight on f6, we'll say thank you, and we'll have the open g file with a rook on g8 looking at g2, and a bishop on b7 looking at g2. So in this position, queen c7. Now that's a good move as well. Um, Queen c7 now actually protects the d pawn. Now, if you told a beginner that Queen c7 could protect d4, they'd be like, "What? I didn't know queens could jump over pieces," you know? But what actually is happening is the knight on f3 is guarding h2 and d4 and can't do both. So d4 was protected for a moment there, but now the rook has come over, like we talked about, and that pawn is still falling. The main reason I'm guessing that Asish played Queen c7 was to temporarily guard d4, but mainly somewhere to put the bishop. Now he can play bishop d7. Yeah, bishop d7. Okay, what will the opponent do? He's going to have to play knight from b takes d4 because the knight on f3 has a job on h2. So knight from b takes. We do knight takes. He does rook takes. And then... And then we could play... Oh, wait, but at the end there... No, our king's not castled. I was going to say we could do something like bishop takes a4 after all the capturing happens on d4, but bishop takes a4 looks a little scary because maybe there might be bishop takes e6 and sack all my pieces and checkmate you because you didn't castle. You know, so will Asish here queenside castle? Exclamation mark.
It's like watching the Cardinals in the playoffs. It makes me nervous.
Yeah, it's very scary. He can't castle kingside. Too messy. H6. Now, if I'm the opponent, I definitely would not do bishop takes knight. That opens up the g file, and Asish would love to see that. Castle queenside, put the rook over on g8, and have some fun over there. The opponent now is wondering, will Asish play g5? g5, bishop g3, bishop takes bishop, h pawn takes? No, there's nothing there. Scary position. What will Asish play here? He's really down on development. So we're looking to develop. We also want to trade. Queenside castle, okay. I like this. Will the opponent finally take our d pawn? Because now we actually can play e5 since we're not pinned anymore. Now, e5 would lose the f7 pawn, but I'd rather trade f7 for d4 any day because this d4 pawn is taking up so much space, restricting our opponent. So if I had the chance here, if I got to move again, I would play e5 and feel very happy about that. Bishop takes f7, whatever, right? I can get a tempo, develop my rook from h to f8, and I've got so much space here. I might play pawn g5. I can get my knights up further. I can play all types of moves, knight g4 or knight b4. So the opponent's got to take now on d4. If they don't, e5 can be played with confidence. What will the opponent play? If they do take on d4, knight takes knight, rook takes, because the knight on f3 has to guard h2. And then... And then I would say bishop takes a4. He plays c3? Really? Why didn't he just do knight takes? c3? What if we take that? Take that, pawn takes. Is there some kind of tactic here? Pawn takes c3, the bishop on d6 is in trouble? Does he do rook takes d6 followed by bishop g3? And say the dark squares are worth it? This is interesting. But I mean, if we don't take the trade, then I mean, what can he really say? Do we play e5 here? No? I kind of want to play g5. I want to play g5 here. g5, if the bishop runs, then we do bishop takes bishop. That way the dark squares are not really in question. And then when they fix that, nice job, Asish. Wow.
You got a
Because
crystal
now
ball over there, don't
we're
you?
not going to be scared of pawn takes pawn. Because then rook takes d6 is not an option because our bishop is gone. g5. And we're not worried about this pin, the knight and the rook on d8. Like if they play knight takes g5 like most e-pawn players do against these h6 g5 maneuvers, then pawn takes pawn, bishop takes pawn, and then h2 was in heavy trouble. The king was in big trouble there. So okay, now Asish needs to take the bishop, and then he needs to take on c3.
You retake with the F pawn or the H pawn? H.
He definitely wants to retake with h here because there might be some openings on the f2 file here, or f2 diagonal from a7 to g1. So take on c3, scary but manageable. Up a pawn. If he doesn't take on c3, what else is there? Is there knight a5? What if we take on c3 and he plays like rook c1? e5. I was not expecting e5. Now, does this blunder everything? The e pawn is not safe, 3-2. The f pawn is not safe. The d pawn is not safe. I'm scared here, Adam. What do I do? The knight takes pawn on e5. Okay, this is a tricky tactic in here. The queen cannot both protect the bishop on c4 and participate in the fight on e5. So if knight takes e5, that's actually losing because knight takes knight and then the queen takes knight. We can have queen takes bishop. And then our queen would also attack that knight that used to be on b3. But the opponent now plays knight c5. Can we? No, we can't push our pawn again. The knight is guarding on e4. Is the opponent... Are they considering sacking on a6? Bishop takes pawn, takes queen takes, king b8. Queen b5, king a8. No, I don't like any of those lines. What will Asish do here? Does he have knight a5? Did the opponent just walk into an x-ray, right? So queen c7 is looking at c4 and c5. If Asish here plays knight a5, he's going to be attacking both of those pieces. Knight a5, knight takes d7. Interesting. Maybe he could play bishop g4 here. That'd be a good move as well, keeping all of our material. The queen would guard f7 by x-ray, right? The knight is a very important attacker, hitting both e5 and d4. So in this turn, I would like for Asish to play bishop g4. That's the championship move right there. Will he find bishop g4? Bishop g4 keeps everything. All of our pawns are safe. e5 allowing knight takes d4. But if excuse me, if knight from f3 takes on d4, do we have bishop g4 anyway? Because pawn f3 looks highly suspicious. Pawn will take pawn. And then we have queen takes g3 someday. So, knight takes d4, bishop g4. Okay, bishop g4. Why not bishop g4? Because okay, a little bit of accuracy there. I like that. Now bishop g4. The problem was back in there. If we play bishop g4, he just wants to trade off some pieces. Maybe the knight on d4 is doing a lot. He wants to get rid of it. It also had an X-ray queen hitting the knight on c5. But now, can we boldly say Asish is winning? There's big problems here with a bishop on g4. If they play f3, then e takes, g takes, and then queen takes g3 looks very good as well. We're going to win all those pawns there. We can boldly say Asish is winning this. Right. Very nice. Wow, okay, we needed that for sure. Let's go back through here. Let's take a look at board 1. What opening was this? Board 1, e4. Lots of Sicilians today. I feel like we see Sicilian every round. Okay.
You're on board 1? Okay.
Yep, I'm on board 1 here. The opponent just played g6. Now, this is a big, bright, waving flag that it's saying, I want to play pawn f5, right? What will you do? So this is a good idea from the opponent, wanting to play pawn f5, taking space. His plan is to put the pawn on f4 and try to open up some attack lines. He wouldn't want to do f5 and take on e4 to open up attack lines, because then our knight would happily sit on e4, putting pressure on d6 and looking to jump in and do some other things on the king side. So he wants to play pawn f5, pawn f4. Can we stop f5? We can play pawn g4, but that makes our dark squares very weak. Maybe he might play queen back to d8 and then play something like bishop g5. And then that dark square bishop guards everything. So tough game here. What can we do? We have a target on c4, but can we send any new attackers? We can play queen e2. Queen e2, he plays like knight b6 though, and then we got nothing. What do we do here? Can we play pawn f4 ourselves? Pawn f4. They play pawn f5. I don't like pawn f4 because that makes so many suspicions here. The queen and the king. We don't actually want to take the e-pawn anyway because that would put the knight on e5. Messy. And then just taking a quick look at Asish's game, he was able to win the exchange. The opponent moved the queen away, and he's done bishop takes rook. So, okay, what's the winning plan here? When I look at a king side and I see a pawn off the line, what I mean is they should always have a 3-pawn line. They should have f2, g2, h2, always. If there's a pawn off the line, there's somebody that's not on that line there. Now what we need to do is push pawns up and attack it. This will be the so-called hook that will open the king side for our pieces. So the plan here for black, h5, h4. We need to open up the file and get our pieces in there to attack the king. What will Asish play? Will he play h5, h4 here? There could be some danger, though. h5, what if he plays rook c1? Our king and queen are on the same line. Ooh, okay. That is an issue. And if, for example, if we played h5, rook c1, and then we're like, uh-oh, our king and queen are on the same line, so let's play king. Whoa, what is this? What did he do here? So he sacked back the exchange. He says, rook c1 was too scary. I don't want any parts of that, which is fair enough. I was just about to explain why king b8 didn't work, because bishop takes a6. So rook takes d4, rook takes back. We have queen takes. And then what does the opponent do? We can say we're up a pawn. We're up a pawn. We can play like knight g4. So queen takes knight. Rook move, and then knight g4. Oh, that was a really good move. Cuts off knight g4 and guards the rook on d4. So f7 currently hanging right now. What do we do? Wait, but the queen is overworked. The queen can't both guard the rook on d4 and the knight trying to go to g4. Can we just play knight g4 anyway? Knight g4 anyway. The rook can't take on e4 because the rook is pinned to f2. Knight g4 here. What if they just take on f7? If they take on f7, can we take on f2? Knight takes f2, then king takes f2, and then we have rook f8 to pin the bishop to the king? But then they have... No, they don't have rook d7 because their rook would be pinned to f2. Knight g... Oh, no, knight g4 is queen takes with check. Okay, so Asish sees that. And now he wants to play knight g4 next turn with the same ideas. Okay, rook f8. Or should we play... knight g4 or rook f8? I like knight g4 first. Knight g4 first because it pins the rook. I'm a little worried about rook d8. If I play rook f8 and they get to trade away all of our pieces too quickly here. But if we do knight g4 and they do rook d8, then we trade rooks. We play king h7 or king a7, and then we've got the initiative here. Now we're fighting. They've got to protect all of our attacks then. So knight g4 Asish. Let's go knight g4. Will he find it? Because knight g4 followed by rook f8 is very strong. f2 is in big trouble. I'm going to take a quick look at the other games just to see what's going on. Bad news on board 1. The opponent did get to accomplish f5, and they got to play f4, exactly what we were fearing. But maybe Roman's got some sneaky positional maneuvers up his sleeve. He wants to get rid of this knight on c5 because that will allow his bishop to sneak into e6. Maybe he can attack the light squares like he did last game. And he can get rid of that knight. And he can play moves like h5, trying to get rid of those light square pawns. He can play bishop e6 check, queen g4, h5, and put a lot of pressure on those light squares. But, okay, knight d3, but do we care? It's another one of those times where the knight looks good, but ultimately has no target. He's helping to hit f2. We can reasonably assume that something like queen a7 or queen b6 is on the way to hit f2. But okay, here he comes. Will he play queen g4 like we were saying? Queen g4 and h5 here to hit those light squares. Maybe he should... Tough. If we play queen g4, what if they play h5? Our queen's got to get out of there. If we play h5 now, then they're going to do something like pawn takes g3. And then we do f pawn takes. We're all right. I like that line. h5. Let's see. Does he play h5? There we go. These guys came to play at him. h5. Okay. Will black will they continue with their plan? Will they do pawn takes g3 like they were trying to open the file? Or another idea, they could play something like bishop to g5, looking to take the pawn on g3 and then trade the bishop away because the bishop on e7 is no good. But no, he doesn't want to do that. He wants to stack the rooks on the f file, but he also wanted to guard g6. Now, this is big danger. This could be a potential lot of pressure on f2. Stack the rooks, play queen a7, and then that's 4 pieces looking down. I forgot about the knight. So whatever we do, we cannot allow f2 to become a target. The good news is, if they do pawn takes g3, we're going to do pawn on f2 takes g3, and then there will be no target to hit. But still, this is quite worrisome here. We have to put a lot of attention on this attack on f2. Now, okay, what can we do here? Let's say we play. Can we take on g6? Then rook takes, and that's too much pressure on our king. Everything's on the same line. I don't like that. Can we play pawn h6? Is there some crazy sack? King takes, queen h3, king g7, nothing. What if we play king h? What if we play king g2 first? King g2 will allow the rook to come over to h1, and then maybe we do have some crazy h6 stuff. So king g2, and then h6. If king takes, we have rook h1, and then like queen h3. No, but then they have h5. No, those ideas don't work. What will he do here? I would love to put my knight. My knight is not very good. My knight and my rook on a1 need to be better. What can my knight do? My knight, I would love to put it like on g5 and then threaten to have it sit on e6. But this bishop, okay, Roman's thinking the same thing here. Knight f3, a very good move. He wants to improve his knight. He can possibly even put the knight on h4. Now, this would get rid of the possibility of rook takes g6 that we didn't like in response to pawn takes g6. So I'm starting to like white's position even more now if we can put the knight on h4. Let's take a look back at board 4. That was a crazy game. Did Asish go for knight g4? He didn't play knight g4, but he's still finding some really good tactical shots. He found pawn e3 because the pawn on f2 was overworked, guarding both the empty square on e3 and the kingside pawn on g3. So after pawn e3, we're going to be able to take on f2, and then the king is open for business. So let's do pawn takes f2 here. And then we have rook f8. X-rays. We've got some pressure building. Rook f8. There's queen c1 check. There's everything. I like that. Pawn takes f2 followed by rook f8. Let's go, Asish. What will you play? Will you take on f2? Okay, rook f8. Rook f8. Let's go. Rook f8. Because technically our knight is pinned, but my idea is that I want to play queen c1 check. Queen c1 check, no matter what he does, if he does queen block, then queen takes queen, king takes queen, and then the king is on the x-ray, and I can have knight move somewhere and be winning. I didn't calculate the rest of it because I was like, okay, the king's going to be on an x-ray. That shouldn't happen. If queen c1 and they're like, uh-oh, that line looks scary. What if I play king h2? King h2, then we have knight g4 check, and the queen is hanging by the rook. So I really like this rook f8 move. Queen c1 is a threat. What will our opponent do? Will they play rook d1? Rook d1. How to stop queen c1? He doesn't see it. Queen c1 looks winning. Queen c1 Asish. This is game over. Boom, he finds it. That's going to be a point for Asish. There we go, Adam. Let's go. So queen f1 is best. It doesn't hang the queen. But queen f1, queen takes queen, king takes queen. And then we have knight d5 check by x-ray, winning the rook for free. We can put this one in the win column for Asish. Hopefully he sees it. The opponent just straight up missed queen c1. Wow. So everything is losing here. King h1 loses to knight g4, and he just resigns. We'll take that too.
All right.
Nice job to Asish.
Yeah.
A fighting victory for Asish there. That's really nice. So, okay. So Nathaniel here is in the fight of his life on board 3. He's down. He's got a rook and a bishop for queen here. The pawns are equal, but they're falling off quickly. They're they're disconnected. They're weak. They're going to be attacked. Gotta play king g8 to guard everybody. If he plays something like bishop c8, then there's queen c7 check, winning the bishop with check. So maybe he can play king e8 as well, but something. He's got to let the rook guard the bishop. So king somewhere, king e8. Okay. Queen takes. We're losing a lot of pawns here. Maybe he's got a shot, but this one looks gone too. Tough game. Okay, maybe somebody else is winning. Let's take a look around the boards. Looks like, oh no. Did Roman get caught in a tactical shot? So board 1 looks extremely scary. What we were fearing actually happened. The opponent did something. The opponent did knight takes f2. He took back with the rook, but we were super afraid of f2 becoming a target. But this is super sneaky because now we have knight f5. Oh, no, we don't, because the rook takes back on f5 with check by x-ray. This game is gone too. Okay, let's take a look at board 2. Somebody's got to get a win for us this round. So, okay, let's see. Board 2, he's up 2 minutes, but it's hard to find a move here. Can he do... Oh, his rook's hanging. I was going to say pawn takes knight, but queen takes rook is in trouble. What if we play... If we play something like rook d2, then he's got knight c4, hitting our rook and our bishop. What if we play rook c1? If rook c1, then he's got pawn to d2. Scary, scary position. What do we play here? Rook is hanging. Can we just sack the rook? Do pawn takes knight? No, because queen takes rook is check. And then the pawn is running. And rook d2 is not just allowing knight c4, because after knight c4, where does our rook run? We can't go back to d1. If we run over to like f2, then they get to push their pawn to d2 and then d1. Ooh, there's a lot of losing moves here, so he has to be careful. Let's see, what can he play? Can he play... No. What's the move? I don't see it, Adam. This one looks like a loss as well, unfortunately. Yeah, he just goes for the exchange sack. So queen takes and then pawn takes knight. It's something, but this looks winning for the opponent again. Tough round for us here. Pawn takes knight. Queen takes queen, most likely. No? Okay, not yet. So we get to keep our queen. Okay. Where can we run? Let's run somewhere. What about queen g4? Queen g4, I'm looking at the pawn on h6. But that won't work because our bishop is pinned. Okay, so he goes for e6. He sees this idea. e6, queen trade, king takes, and then trade pawns, rook e8. King d5. Okay, do we take with pawn or queen here? Tough decision. Let's go with queen, right? Okay. And I need to get that bishop out. Let's walk out of this pin. Let's play king g3. Okay. So if he takes on f6, then we have checks forever. That's a draw. It's now or never to queen trade, honestly. He has to play queen d5 or lose, or he'll get a draw. Okay, so tough game. Takes. King e4 is the best move, threatening f7, because we play f7 now, there's rook f5. King e4, very good. Rook d7 in response is best to guard on f7 and a7. Okay. Bishop d4, maybe? Pawn g4? No. Well, no. Yeah. Bishop d4 looks best, and then pawn g4.
Looks like Roman lost on board 1.
Ouch. Okay, so he went for bishop d4. G4, okay. He's fighting for the win. He wants to get a pawn on g5 and then get his king on f5, followed by pawn g6. That looks like the winning plan, or at least the tough draw. h4. Very good. He's threatening h5 here. Okay, h5. Oh, no, we can't play h5 yet. We need to play bishop e3 first to guard the g5 square. We can't allow king g5. King e3, okay. Ooh, rook b3 is coming. We got to play king f4. King f4 here. Okay, something. We're running out of time. Rook b3, bishop c5. Bishop c5 here. Okay, king f4. Very good. h5. 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 Let's go. Very good. Will he blunder? 2 pieces on the same line? No, he sees it. Okay, bishop d6. Ooh, okay. King, okay. Ooh, bishop c5. Oh, no, we can't. The pawn's hanging. Oh, no, everything's hanging now. Can we take on h6? Okay, king, or let's see, bishop e3. Get our king over here. Can we draw this? Let's see. Get the, ooh, no? No, this is lost for white. Tough fight, though. He really did try. Yep, now the pawn's marching. Oh, man. So board 3 also lost.
Yeah.
Board 2 hanging on by a thread.
They're up 6-5 right now.
Or maybe my technique is bad. How can he promote if we have this bishop? Oh, never mind. Nope, that doesn't work. We're stuck. We lose. This doesn't work. Unfortunately. Man. And there's 17 spectators. You see all these people watching this game?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. High pressure match. We're down this time. We got 1 point. So this is, let's see, this is 3-1 first round, 4-4. And then now we have 5, they have 7. So for us to catch back up, we need 3 points this round to get a draw. We need 3.5 to win. So these guys are going to be playing against their equals here. Board 4 will play against board 4. Board 3 versus board 3. Board 2 versus board 2. We get that. So it's going to be a fair match for all these guys, and they've got to play. Let's see how they do. Let's see.
It's been a really strong team in the last half of the matches too. So
yeah, we've had some good games, but we just couldn't pull them out here. It's like Nathaniel's game. Board 3 is going. Okay, he played b3. Okay, this looks pretty mainline stuff. What do we play against this? Is it knight e5? What's the move? I'm pretty sure he's also trying to figure out what the move is also. Knight e5, though. Knight takes, bishop takes. And then queen e7. They might play like d5, bishop g4, castle queenside. Okay, that looks better for black. What about knight d4? Knight d4 takes, and then pawn c5. I don't like it already. Maybe was the line here? I don't think knight f3 is a theory. I think he's supposed to play bishop b5 here, followed by knight e2, castle, and then f4, if I can remember correctly. Because this e4 hurts the knight very bad. I think the correct theory was bishop b5 first to put pressure on that e5 pawn. Now, okay, knight g5. Knight g5 hits e4, but most importantly, it dodged the threat on f3. So the opponent does d5. He's going to play like bishop d6, bishop g4. c4, okay. But if the opponent plays h6, our knight has to run to h3. Well, not yet. If h6, we have c4 takes d5. Okay, c4 takes d5. He wasn't patient enough here. The knight can't take on d5 because the knight's guarding e5. If queen takes... Ooh, I was going to say knight c3 hits the queen, but the queen also hits the knight on g5. So maybe this is all right. So pawn takes, queen takes. Do we have tactics? What if we do knight takes f7? If king takes, then we have bishop c4. 2 pieces, same line. But if knight takes f7 and queen takes, then that doesn't work. So takes, queen takes, and then he's got to play knight h3. The opponent will do bishop takes knight, and then they will queenside castle. And we're in trouble early. Really? They didn't take. That's actually very surprising. Okay. So what do we do now? He decides to go back, but bishop takes looks pretty good for the... I mean, what else do we do, honestly? Yeah, so knight has to go back. We would love to get this knight to f4 to help us fight. It would guard d3 and guard d5. We know we're not going to keep d5, but at least we can trade this knight off the side of the board for something that's good. Tough game. Let's see, who else is playing here? Let's look at board 1. Now, this game, what was this? d4, d5, Queen's Gambit declined. Okay. We have the current position. Now, White's plan, White wants to look at d5 here. d5 is an isolated pawn on an open file, which means that they can stack a lot of pieces on it. But how do we actually attack it, though? That's the thing, because the bishop is guarding the d1 square. The knight is guarding the b3 square, so we can't play queen b3. What do? Do we play something like pawn f3 to stop the bishop from attacking d1? Pawn f3, though, although it is played in some Queen's Gambit lines, would be too weakening here, because now the pawn on... This is a very important defender, and it makes the G1 to A7 pawn or A7 diagonal weak as well. Something like Queen B6, later on Bishop C5 could be a deciding factor. So what are they going to do about this annoying bishop on H5? A very good piece here for Roman. What if the opponent plays Bishop E2, would we trade or would we play Bishop G6? Okay. Bishop E2, do we trade or Bishop G6? If we trade, then the queen will take, and the queen's going to come over to F3 to hit the pawn, followed by stacking the rooks on D file. Tough plan. If we play Bishop G6, then knight will take, followed by Bishop F3. And I would rather have the queen hit than the bishop. Let's get rid of the bishop. Let's do bishop takes bishop, followed by something like knight from C to E4, and get rid of all these attackers attacking our weak pawn. Let's trade some pieces here. We don't have much to do. There's no real attacking pressure. Usually in these isolated pawn games, the pawn on that's isolated will give us a lot of space, which will allow us to stretch out and attack. But somehow we don't have a lot of space here. They were able to put a knight on E5, and our pieces aren't really developed yet. So in this position, we're really just trying to save the day. Just get these pieces off here and, oh, wait a minute. He doesn't trade. So bishop takes bishop. Knight takes bishop. Queen E2. Oh, wait. The knight also would hit the bishop on F4. Okay. So what does he play here? Does he play rook D1? No, because the rook is looking at the queen on C2. There might be some knight E4 things in here. Pretty nasty. Very interesting position here. Let's take a look back at Nathaniel's game. Somehow, the position went very wrong for the opponent. Nathaniel has completely equalized, and the pawn structure is worse for black here. Let's see, what's the pawn count? We're technically up a pawn too. So what happened here? They took the knight on H3, like we were saying. It took on D5, and then he got lots of tempos. Ooh, looks like the opponent, well, they didn't blunder because they didn't have anything else to save the pawn. Okay, so what do we do now? We play knight G3 to hit the pawn on F5, right? What else is there? Knight G3, they play like bishop G7, we play rook C1, and then there's two pieces hanging. Knight G3, they play rook D5, rook C1, C6. Okay, he checks first, king E7. And then what? Knight H5? So he wanted to hit the bishop. Now the bishop can't go to G7. I would have preferred him to play knight G3 though, because we were going to be able to win the pawn on F4, on F5. Maybe the opponent would have, in response, played pawn F4. And then if we take back, then our pawns are doubled. So, I'll say, actually, I like Nathaniel's idea. And now we have a very important tactical idea to remember, is that if we want to hit a pawn, or hit any target, that is, we should make sure it can't move first. That'd be like trying to shoot a fly with a water gun, but we can never hope to hit it unless you're just crazy, you can do something like that. The fly is moving around too fast. But if the fly can't move, it's much easier to hit it. So I'm thinking of playing a move like pawn F4. Pawn F4 locks the F5 pawn in there, and then we can play knight G3. That way the pawn on F5 is a steady target, and we can reasonably expect to put a lot more pieces on that pawn eventually. So I'm looking for Nathaniel here to play a move like F4 eventually. Now, he didn't play F4 right now because the rook would have come into G2 and hit the D2 pawn and end everybody. So let's see. Eventually, he'll play F4 and sit his knight on G3. Maybe if he does that, Mm, he will need to play rook g1 first, though. I don't like rook g2. So a lot of interesting plans here for Nathaniel. Let's look at, let's see, how is Asish doing here? E4, E5. This was an Italian. Okay, pretty mainline stuff here. And did the opponent blunder a pawn? What if they play queen d5? How does our knight get out? Or queen e7. Okay, we got to get out somehow. How do we get out here? Do we play a4, a5? And then a6? Because a4, rook b8. a5, they take our knight, we take theirs. Right? So a4, rook b8. a5, they run away. Then we play a6. I like a4 here. But then they're going to play a5, and we definitely can't get out. What is he doing? Oh, he wants to play knight c5. That was clean. I like that. So Asish gets out here, no problem. The opponent can play knight d7, but that allows us to play queen a4 to hit the knight on c6 and to allow the knight to escape onto a5. Nicely done, Asish. That's a clean pawn. Okay, very good. Let's take a look back at... okay, so board 3, he does play rook g1. He found this idea. He wants to play this f4 things, but the rook g2 was too scary. Now, we definitely should not take the rook on g5. This would bring his pawns closer together. We like the pawn spread apart and weak. Right, very good. Knight f4. Knight g3 would have allowed him to play pawn f4 to weaken our pawns. Okay. I like a4 as well. A good move. We don't want to have our pieces stuck playing like rook a1 or rook c2. Stuck being babysitters of pawns. We want to be attackers. So a4, very good. We can let the pawns protect each other, and we can let the rooks run around and do something else. Okay, what about pawn h4? Kick the rook out. I want to put my rook on g8, start to do some stuff. Pawn h4 here for Nathaniel. Okay. What will he play? Will he play rook g4? If rook g4... Interesting. If rook g4, then our pawn on h4 is hanging. If we play pawn h5, they have bishop d6. Trying to get rid of our good knight, which we definitely do not like. Pawn or rook g4 here. What can he play? He can do rook takes rook. Oh, and they actually took rook here. Wow, okay. Takes. And then we can play... This is a tough game here on board 3. If rook takes, we've got a problem on b3. If we play rook a1, hoping to trade activity for activity, he can play a5. But then we still don't care, because if he takes our pawn, we can take his pawn. Okay, let's see rook a1. That's the move I want to see here. Rook a1 followed by, let's say, okay, rook a1. I don't know what to do next, though. Here comes pawn a5. Yeah, so rook a1 was much better than rook b1. You'd never want to be caught defending. You want to always attack. The attacker wins in chess 100% of the time. So rook a1, much better to trade a pawn for a pawn like this. Okay, a5. I don't know what to do here. What do we play? There's weaknesses, but we don't know how to get our pieces coordinated. I'm thinking of knight d3, but then where does it go? b2, c4? This is something. What would the opponent play? Bishop e7 looks good to hit the pawn on h4. And he misses it. Okay. Pawn f4 here. Very good. Or, ooh. No, we couldn't have trapped the bishop. If we would have done something else and let him take the pawn f4 afterwards would not have worked because the bishop can get out with bishop g3, the pawn's hanging, and the bishop goes to h4 and leaves. But, oh, wait a minute. What if maybe that did work because we had rook h1 and then rook h3? So we didn't actually have to play pawn f4. There was a nice little tactical trick in there with pawn f4 afterwards to protect everything. So, okay, now our pawn on b3 really is hanging. We may have no choice but to babysit here. We have to play knight c1, but I don't like it. We don't actually have to do it because if the rook takes on b3, we have knight c5, check, right? And we win the rook. So we can still play actively here. We don't have to protect anything. What can we do? Let's get this rook over here. The rook can never win a5 with the bishop on it. So we need to reroute somewhere. What about rook g1? Rook g7? Get down there and get aggressive? We could play rook c1, rook c5. No, then they can take and have a passed a pawn. I like rook g1 here. Let's take a look at some other boards. I'm hearing a lot of moves go off. So Asish still doing well. He's up his pawn. Very good. He's got a target on e5. I'm liking his position. Let's look at board 2. Board 2, these guys are playing for the win. They're going all in. I like in these positions a lot. The problem, though, is that the bishop on c8 is just getting crushed right now. The pawns on e6 and d5 are taking up so much space. Let's see, what was this? Was this a Benoni? d4. Yeah, this was a Benoni. It looked like it. Okay, so the bishop is stuck. What can we do? We really want to play b5. Can we play b5 now? Play b5, get that bishop to like b7. Let's play b5. What will the opponent do? The opponent's trying to play f5 and crush us, just checkmate. Whew, this is tough. This is very tough. He wants to play f5, bishop f4, and hit our d6 weakness. So we can't protect it, so we need to trade off the attackers. What can we do? Can we play knight f6? Trade everybody, but then the knight will take back with no effect. So he's got to do king takes. Why is he thinking about this? King takes pawn. King h1 would be kind of silly.
I think he needs to think about it for about 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, he's trying to make the game exciting.
Yeah.
Hopefully he thinks about it for about approximately another 5 minutes and 24 seconds.
Yeah.
Tough decision, you know.
You want
take or h1.
You don't want to blunder.
Okay, he decides to take it. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. Okay. So what do we do? If we play knight f6, he actually has knight g5. He can put a knight on f7. Get me out of this game, right? No way. What do I play? Okay, b5 is a good start. Very good start. But f5 here is going to hurt. Will the opponent play pawn f5 and we're in trouble? All because he wants to play bishop f4 and hit d6. He also wants open files for the rook and all the rest of his pieces, but mainly because he wants bishop f4. If he plays f5, we're in trouble on this board. If not, then we may be able to kick his pieces around with pawn pushes like b4 and things like this. What will he do? He spends another minute thinking about it. I mean, that's what we need. Can we play... Okay, this is dangerous now again. If we play c4 here, the bishop now has access, is going to wiggle its way through. He can play bishop d4. But we've got to move. We can't sit there. It's being hit 3 times. So if we take, he does rook takes, and he hits our b5 pawn. So we've got to play c4. But then in response to bishop d4, what do we play? You play like rook f8, rook f5, and try to stop f5. As much as we don't like trading bishops, we definitely do not want to allow them to play f5. So c4, rook f8, rook f5 is the plan. Let's take some more looks around the other boards here. And Nathaniel has played the rook g1 idea that we were talking about. He wants to get his rook in there. Board 3, he's looking at rook g8, rook f7. They're attacking his knight. Just run away. Knight d3. We're fine. Oh, that's a better move. He wants to play knight c3 now. Check. So we have some attacks going. The rook is trying to get down to g8. If we get our rook down to g8, this brings a breath of fresh air to this position. Both of our pieces can't get active, and we've got some fights here. Okay, knight c3 check. Keep that king out of e4. Very important. Knight c3 check here. Followed by rook a1. Okay, very good, Nathaniel. You saw it. Knight c3 check. Where's the king go? If the king goes to like backwards somewhere, then rook a1 will win us a pawn. Well, no, it doesn't, because they have bishop d8. But at least we're being aggressive. We're better than where we were. Let's see. Is there anything else? Can we go back to g8 like we wanted to, and then play like rook h8 to attack the h6 pawn? I like it. Yep. Rook g8, rook h8 looks very good for white. Okay. Taking a look around. Asish is still doing a really good job. I'm liking his position still. And the opponent actually has did they just give away a pawn? What if, so board 4, Asish does knight takes e5. If they take everything, we have 4 attackers versus 3 defenders, we're going to win. If we do knight takes e5, and they play like rook from a to e8, the pin is not scary because the rook on e3 is also guarded twice. So Asish is like, wait a minute, did they just hang the pawn? What are they doing? Knight takes e5. The knight is now pinned to c3. But we don't care because we can take the knight on d7. We can also play d4 and f4 and everything. So the knight is fine. Let's see Asish take with the f knight, right? Because the c knight is very active. I like how it's attacking a5. Very good for Asish, playing well. I like this. So f3 knight takes. The opponent is almost forced to do something with his knight, whether it's take or go somewhere else. But what else is he going to play? Yeah, okay, so now knight takes e5. Okay, the opponent will most likely play like rook e8, rook from a to e8. And then in response to that, we can play like f4. f4 is better than d4 because f4 stops the bishop from hitting our rook. Also, d4 makes an isolated pawn on d4. So I like f4 here for Asish, followed by king f2. To protect the rook on e3. Well, Asish play f4 here. Just slightly better than d4. Then again, he cannot move the knight from e5 to c4 because the knight is pinned to c3. And once the bishop takes, it would also guard a5. So he's got to play d4 or c4 here. Maybe knight d7? Does that work? No. They just take on c3. So f4 or d4? Okay, so taking a look around, board 3, Nathaniel has stolen a pawn. Things are looking up on board 3. He's now trying to maneuver his rook or maneuver his knight to g3 and attack that f5 pawn like we talked about earlier. Very important. He was able to lock it up, and now the pawn can't move. Knight g3 here from Nathaniel. That looks like the winning move. There it is. The pawns are falling. Knight takes f5, and then h6 is also falling next. Okay, knight takes. He might be concerned about letting the rook go down to g2 if he does knight takes. So maybe he's considering rook takes f5. But also, rook takes f5 will let the rook swing around to h or to a8 and then land on a1 and somehow get down there anyway.
Don't we get
Plus, what is the rook doing on f? What'd you say?
Don't we get 2 pawns for the one on h2? If knight
Yeah,
takes,
I'm thinking we should
knight
do
takes.
knight takes f5. Oh, wait. Okay, I was thinking this. Is this a tactic? Rook takes knight? Then our rook on f5 is not guarded, but it's not because he's got rook takes bishop. But he also has bishop h4, and it's a tough game. But I believe Nathaniel should have played knight takes f5. Now, if bishop h4, what do? We play rook c5 attacking c6. If they play like king d6 or something, then we have knight e4 check, guarding the knight and attacking the king. Or guarding the rook, I mean, and attacking the king. So, this looks all right for us. And they blocked their rook's file? What's that? Okay, rook c5. Let's go. Let's hit him. Rook c5 here. Let's go, Nathaniel. Let's go. We got to be aggressive. There we go. Very good. What do they play? King d6? Rook c8? If king d6, we have knight e4. If rook c8, what do? Rook c8, we have... Rook c8. We can't play pawn. Okay, king d7. Why is he going backwards? The opponent's starting to play very suspicious here. I like knight f5. Rook over. Okay. He's looking for check on a7. Quick look back at Asish's game. He did play f4. Great job to Asish, playing very well, finding the best moves. Back to board 3 again.
It's like Roman lost board 1.
Oh, no. So the best we can do is a draw.
We'd win the draw, though, because we've got the tiebreak, I think.
Okay, bad news on board 2 as well. The opponent managed to play f5. Our bishop on c8 also did not ever find a job. And now the pieces are coming in, not looking good on board 2. Board 3 and board 4 are doing a great job, but the other boards couldn't hold. Let's see. Maybe he can find some kind of save here. Nope, he just resigns. Tough. We needed that point bad. Now we lost. This is official. We lost this one. So they're playing for pride here. Do you think we could get a wild card spot with 4 and 2?
Well, I was trying to
or
think
4
of
and
that.
3?
I was trying to think of that. So now before tonight we had 6, 5, and then we were tied at 4 with somebody else. So if we get a draw, or can we get a draw still? No.
No, we officially have lost. We don't have enough points to catch up.
Okay, so we'll be at 4. They'll be at 5. So they'll have 2 at 5, and then one of them would be the third place, and the wild card has to be the best two best third place teams. So I don't think we can get into third now.
Oh man!
But missed it by that much.
By a hair. Yep, just barely missed it. Do you know how often they're going to do this? Every year, maybe like every season?
Yeah, I think they're going to keep it going. They're in talks now about when to do the next one. So
okay, it was definitely fun. I think the guys will be way less nervous next time since they've been through it before. So, let's see. Let's keep rooting on Asish and Nathaniel here. Never mind, Nathaniel already won. The guy resigned while we were talking.
Nathaniel won? Okay.
Nathaniel won. Big win for Nathaniel. Now back to Asish. Let's see. So he's 2 pawns up now. But what's the plan? The king can move up to e4. But then he's going to get in the way of the rooks. I want Asish to find a way to get his rooks active. What can we play? Can we play rook e4 followed by rook c4 or a4? No, because they're going to take our knight and hit our d3 pawn. So we need to play. Here's a plan. We need to. Oh, never mind. Before that, I was going to say king f2, king d2, and then we can move. But now our d3 pawn's is under pressure. Should we protect it? Should we babysit? Or should we just trade activity for activity with a move like knight c4? But then they do bishop takes c3. That pin has been there the whole game. We can't move. What do we play? Rook d1? Rook d1 here. And then we're all safe. We're good to go. We have time to get our king over to e2. That way our rook can move from e3 to e4 and then go attack stuff on c4 or a4. So it's looking good for Asish here. Winning plan, king f2, king e2, and then rook e4. The opponent is also on no time, so did he just hang g6? Knight takes g6 here? Or can we play knight c4 finally? Interesting choice, actually. I've been wanting to play knight c4 for a while. Or should we do knight takes g6 and then knight e7 check? I'd say let's just keep the pawn. Let's do knight e6. Yeah, okay, very good. Knight g6 and then knight e7 check and then pawn takes g5. Oh, wait, where's the king go? Because now we have pawn takes g5 and then rook f1. Or he actually finds the better move here. Very good to Asish because he wants to trade off. If we can trade off more pieces, this endgame is definitely under wraps. So, okay. Ooh, what do we do here? Is there rook e7? Rook e7 and then rook takes g7 looks like a win. Trade off 2 pieces? Definitely. Sign me up, right? Because otherwise, if we do knight takes g7, there's pawn takes with the x-ray check. So this is very good. Rook takes g7. Trade off 2 pieces. Rook takes rook. Pawn takes pawn.
They've got Nathaniel
King
down.
f3. Yeah, Nathaniel won. We're rooting on Asish here. King f3. Okay, king e3. Wait, did he just blunder his what was that? Oh no. Oh no, not like this. So this is drawn now. Rook takes c3. King d2. Rook g3. Rook h5. King, yep. Take. Then rook g2 and then take on a2. That's a draw. But I mean, he's down on time. Looks like he blundered again. Can we play now his pawns are hanging. I like that. Rook a4. Okay, king c3. Okay, what does the opponent do? Nothing. We take on a4, we take on a5 and c5. Rook takes a5 here. Okay, what is he? Okay, pawn a4. Then we can play takes. Okay, pawn rook takes. This is a win. Okay, check, king b4, lights out. Yep, pawn push. Game over. So Asish ends up 2-2 versus a tough team.
All right.
That's a nice score. That's a very nice score.
We put up a really good fight. 9-7, it looks like.
Yeah, 9. Let's see. We got 3, 4, 5, 7 versus 1, 4, 7. Yep. We ended up 7-9. Close.
All right.
And the opponent resigns here. Asish wins. Well done. I will say our board 3 and board 4 are definitely MVPs for our team. Every
Okay.
match.
Yeah.
They're doing very well. Both Nathaniel and Asish finished 2-2.
Yeah, I think
Our top boards are always struggle.
Brian Rood in the Springfield Club kind of said that Asish seemed like our secret weapon.
Yeah, he's playing great. Nathaniel also is playing great too. So, I mean, this 6 or 7 months with no rated games has really helped us out because we were able to have 2 sandbaggers on our team.
Yeah, I kind of
They
wonder
were
where
able
the
to keep their
ratings.
ratings down.
I wonder where the ratings are going to go. Some guys are going to shoot up if they've been practicing the whole time, and some guys might drop a little bit once we start
Yeah,
again.
I definitely say Asish and Nathaniel both should boost by around 100 each. Definitely
Yeah,
for Asish, he should be higher than like what is he 20 like barely 2000 like 2020 2010 something like that.
2007. Yeah,
2007. That's
yeah,
underrated for sure.
yeah,
So yeah, he should bare minimum be like 2100 at least.
yeah.
So
And
and what's Nathaniel like 21 or is he
21,
also 2000 something?
2118.
2118. Yeah, I'd say he should be a master too. These guys play really well.
Yeah, that's what Jared Bray said. He thought that Nathaniel could be a master if he kind of pushed and wanted to.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say just for Nathaniel, just more opening knowledge. For Asish, I don't know. What would I say for Asish? Positional play?
Remember, Asish is still in high school, so who knows how high
He's
he's
yeah,
going to
so
go.
young, yeah. So tough fight. What's our you think we're gonna finish 4th place? Somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, so the first place got up to 6 last night, and then so there's a 6, a 5, and we were tied at 4. We're still at 4, so the other guy goes up to 5. So there's a 6 and 2 5s, and one of them will get the wild card probably, and one will get the
Yeah.
second spot in the playoffs. So
Yep.
we
Tough.
missed it by one match
Okay.
point. But
Is there like a bottom half bracket?
I don't know. Yeah, we could have. We need to organize a parade or something if we can get all the guys to come through
Yeah,
Springfield.
that'd be cool.
But we've got a tournament planned if you're bored. And it's supposed to be um, November 7th, I think, in
November
Springfield. But I
7th.
don't know if they're going to decide on the last week. It's going to be an over the board Missouri Championship, and 90 minutes, and it's that weekend. I think it's the 7th. But they're going to decide the weekend before uh, whether to cancel or anything. They're going to wait till then. But right now we're moving forward with it. So hopefully we'll have a
Yeah.
good turnout. It'll be at Missouri State University.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just hoping to see a lot of just chess just start up again,
Yeah.
It's cool to see your online rating go up, but I mean it's not the same.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't even feel like the same. I mean it's close. It makes you feel good to see your rating going up online, but in person, you're touching the pieces, you're playing real people, you can see them.
Yeah. For me, it's kind of hard to stay motivated. I just playing online. I don't really care too much if I lose. I don't really feel any emotion or anything like that. But on the weekly, we have a ladder at the Springfield Club, and every Friday
Mm-hmm.
night I start getting nervous around Thursday, and I got to play a 90-minute
Yeah,
game with somebody, and then
it actually creates emotion in you. You're not just like a chess
yeah,
robot.
yeah, yeah. I don't
So
care if somebody in Quebec beat me at 10-minute game. I don't care anything about it.
yeah, I mean that's the whole world really. You just try whatever.
Yeah. But it is kind of a good place to, since I don't care, to try things and try to figure things out. So I guess there are benefits.
Mm-hmm.
But,
So yeah, all right. Well, I guess that's the end of the recording.
yeah, I'll shut it off in a second. Just thank you again for doing this and playing and everything you guys
Yeah,
did
it
for
was
this week.
fun. It was
Yeah,
really fun. I
and
think everybody got better as it went along as well.
oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, as soon as we find out about the next one, I'll probably be emailing everybody, try to get everybody back on the team,
Mm-hmm.
and try it again.
Well, all right. Well, yeah, it was fun.